Good morning, everyone. I'll let you have a seat quickly. We'll quickly get started. Wonderful. So good morning, everybody. Bonjour à tous. Tervetuloa. So welcome again to the North European Regional Meeting of the 4 per 1000 Initiative, which is co-organized by the Baltic Sea Action Group. We're really glad to have you here for a second day with us, so thank you for being here. We hope you had a wonderful evening, that you enjoyed the delicious foods from our local farmers, as well as the wines provided by Moet Hennessy. I just thought it was so wonderful that we were able to taste local foods and to even hear from the farmers themselves who grew some of their foods. So I think that deserves a round of applause for our farmers. Wonderful. And so we had a great day yesterday afternoon already, and much was discussed about the importance of regenerating our soils. As we saw, healthy soils have so many benefits, and one that I wanted to highlight this morning, which we do not always mention, but that is incredibly important, is that it ensures the cleanliness of our waterways. Indeed, healthy soils filter water better. They clean out the toxins, as opposed to degraded soils, which will let out toxic leachates directly in our water table and then in our waterways and oceans. As we can imagine, with conventional agriculture, there are a lot of chemical products and excess fertilizer runoff which can end up in waters. And this is exactly why an organization like the Baltic Sea Action Group has become such a strong proponent of regenerative agriculture. And I think that's just fantastic, because it really highlights just how much everything is connected to our soils. Without healthy soils, our water resource is also threatened. And of course, one benefit that is more direct and that was highlighted yesterday is that if our soils go wrong, our agriculture cannot be right. So to ensure we're able to produce enough foods for our needs, that they are healthy foods, and to make sure we can provide food security to all, we really need to focus on what's going on in our soils to protect them and regenerate them. And I want to say a word about resilience as well. In a time of changing climate, when we see more frequent droughts, floods, and forest fires, the resilience of our farmers and of our agricultural sector as a whole is crucial. With the pandemic and now with the war, we've experienced supply chains disruption, and we have seen the importance of local resilient supply chains, because we cannot always rely on the global food system to provide for our needs when we have crop failures locally because of extreme climate events. So it's more crucial than ever to focus on regenerating our soil so that we're less vulnerable to these extreme climate events, and we're able to absorb the shock and be more resilient and autonomous. And this is something insurance providers should be particularly interested in, because if we reduce risk, they also benefit. We also saw yesterday that one of the most crucial things for the massive change that is needed to implement and scale up regenerative agriculture is a change of mindset. This paradigm shift that we've been talking about. Sometimes our minds are not even able to envision what is possible, because we've been so programmed to think that things need to be done in a certain way. So there needs to be a click that happens to open us up to new ways of doing, to the change that's possible, in order to enable us to first have that vision, which is really the first step needed in order to then change behaviors. So whether that click happens because of necessity, because of having crop failures too many years in a row, for example, or through observation of nature and a closer relationship to nature, or through an emotional shift, or seeing another farmer setting the example who inspires us through their practices, well, that click is the first step to be able to change practices. And there are many other things that are needed to achieve change at the system scale. I'll go through a few a bit more quickly. First of all, we need to train a new generation of agronomists, since the people advising farmers need to be on board. We also saw the importance of knowledge transfer, of peer-to-peer learning, which we need way more of. And how can we do that? Well, we need to build capacity to be able to have more advisory services, more coaches, So that's the whole concept of training the trainers. We need to have more people available to train farmers, and we need to train them first. We also saw that the current cap seems insufficient, so we need more incentives. And if we want to make the change for the next cap, we must start right away. Another point that was highlighted was the importance of monitoring carbon and also the other co-benefits of carbon farming. And we'll hear more about this today as well in the MRV parallel session. We saw how important it is for farmers to feel supported. And that's understandable because when we think of agriculture as a whole, well, regenerative farmers are not the norm yet. Most farmers implement different types of practices. So it's easy to realize that one might feel alone when implementing these practices. And there's also, a bit of a misunderstanding or misconceptions by the lay people in regards to the agricultural sector. So for farmers to feel supported, it's important for them to feel like they have a support network of other farmers who are in a similar mindset and who implement similar practices so that they don't feel like they're going against the current all the time. So again, this really supports the idea of peer-to-peer support networks, which is really crucial for farmers. Also, it's interesting to note that young farmers seem more likely to implement regenerative practices since they might not have been as exposed to or used to conventional practices. So they're more open to new ways of doing things. So we need to remove barriers for those young farmers to jump on board and get started in the agricultural sector so that they can become a force for regenerative agriculture. And in general, we've seen that farmers are more and more open to change and are listening. They see that they need to do something for the soil. So this is really hopeful that we have the attention of more and more farmers. Another important thing that was highlighted yesterday is the importance of multi-stakeholder initiatives. Of course, farmers are at the center of the system. This is easy to understand. But scientists also play an important role through their research and findings. Decision makers will implement different policies that can really influence the agricultural sector. NGOs also play an important role in terms of community organizing, bringing people together and fostering those peer-to-peer networks. And businesses have an important role to play as well by changing their supply chain. So it's really important to work together if we want to achieve systems change and to develop a mutual understanding of what's needed if we want to achieve regenerative agriculture. So all of this really highlights the importance of meetings like this. It's so crucial for us to gather, exchange knowledge, see what innovative initiatives are happening, to better understand each other's perspectives and problems as well, and to get inspiration so that we then go back to our work with a renewed motivation and sense of belonging. So we're really glad to have you back for this second day of the conference. Thank you all so much for being here. So today we'll have 3 parallel sessions, which we'll get to in a little bit, because we'll still have an introductory section at the beginning of the day. We'll then have a concluding panel later on as well. But next up, let's hear more from Mr. Paul Liu, the Executive Secretary of the 4 per Thousand, about the strategy of the 4 per Thousand initiative and their vision of agroecology. So please join me in welcoming Paul Liu to the stage.
Hello, everybody. So, again, starting the day with me. Sorry for that. We'll try to, in 10 minutes, I know that somebody will show me 2 minutes, stop, that's it. I will try to explain to you what is our strategy and, how soil and soil health is important, but that you know already. What is interesting is that what I said yesterday about the fact that more and more we are talking about soil and soil health at the international level. And I try to figure out in this slide the importance of soil health. In fact, if you think a little bit, soil health is at the very origin of all the way we can address the main challenges that we are facing. Could be carbon-rich soil to address climate change mitigation. Could be rich soil in biodiversity to address the biodiversity question. Organic matter means better resilient soil, so you can address the desertification, and of course you will get fertile soil which address the food security question. So all the main UN convention and FAO should work together to put soil health at the very top of the agenda, which is, unfortunately, this is not really the case at the moment, but we are working on it. What's happened when we are talking about agriculture and soil? So we try to use a figure proposed by Professor Ratanlal. When you introduce agriculture in a landscape, then you will observe a degradation on the quantity of organic matter and carbon in the soil. That's the curve going down. And then if you don't care, you will reach a stage where or you reach a balance and this will be a new equilibrium, or you just go and erode your soil and the soil will disappear and then it's dead. So what we propose, and I think you all will agree with that, we propose to adopt better management practices that will enhance the restoration of the soil, and then we will go in the pink, then the green area, and then maybe we can dream in the future, we can find a way to go over the saturation level and bring more carbon in the soil that they can support at the origin. So that's the whole idea of what we propose. And when you ask in the street people about what they consider to be important for agriculture, the first thing they will say to you is, well, we would like farmers to stop using mineral fertilizer and agrochemical because it pollutes our soil, our air, our water, and destroy our biodiversity. Okay, let's use this red curve. How can we go along this curve? Secondly, they will tell you we would like agriculture to be more in favor of biodiversity, more in favor of carbon sequestration. So let's work on how we could be on the green line. Today, with the conventional agriculture, we are here. This is not really what we hope to be, where we hope to be. And that's what we said yesterday about nature-based solution, the possibility to get inspiration in nature. So what are the most complex ecosystem on Earth? This is the natural forestry ecosystem. It could be tropical, could be temperate, could be boreal. We get this inspiration there. And how we can go from there to there? I don't say we will all come back in the forest, picking the fruits, hunting and fishing. No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying getting inspiration to those systems, to redesign our agro-system. And in fact, we can see that along that line, we have various categories of agriculture that already exist. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. And we just have to know where we want to go. We have organic agriculture, we have conservation agriculture, biodynamic agriculture, holistic grazing system, regenerative agriculture, including permaculture, agroforestry. All those systems exist everywhere on Earth. We just need to develop, to scale them up. And we need to help farmers to find the best way where they want to go. Give you some example. Conservation agriculture, we have already discussed that question. The three pillars of the conservation agriculture: minimum tillage, cover crops, crop rotation. If you are talking about only minimum tillage, it's not enough. You need to associate to the two other pillars. Another example is holistic grazing system, mob grazing for some of you. That's the way to use that. We had an example yesterday about the fact how you have so many cattle on a pasture and you move them quickly and then you will organize that. This system is able to store carbon in the soil, and this system could be balanced, I would say, even though you know that CH4 for ruminant are a problem. Another one that I love, it's not because I designed that, it's agroforestry system. This is a complex one. Agroforestry system is very well known in a tropical area, a little bit less in temperate area, but it also exists and we need to develop them. So, coming back to the 4 per meal initiative, I just give you another view of what we would like to see the society to follow as a direction. The 4 per mil, I told you yesterday about this very funny name and this very funny 4 per mil or 4 per thousand. Well, it's come from this calculation. My presentation will be available, so you will have time to go through the figure and see what how the calculation was made. So the goal of the initiative is mainly to increase carbon sequestration in soil as organic matter, to increase food security, adapt agriculture to climate change, mitigate climate change, all of that in the full framework of the SDGs, of course, mainly those one there at the bottom of the slide. So today, the initiative gathers 770 partners all around the world. When I said partners, it means countries, provinces, international organizations, foundation, development bank, NGOs, research institution or university, farmers organization, and business enterprise. Among them, roughly half, 340, are non-profit and commercial, and so are allowed to be member. That means be part of the decision-making process of the initiative. So you have seen Gabrielle, one of our vice chair. Our chair is Stéphane Le Foll, ex-Minister of Agriculture in France, and we have another vice chair, which is Dr. Ibrahim Mayaki from Africa, from Niger. Just a very quick overview of where are our members and partners. Of course, the logos are not exhaustive. I cannot have the 770. And to give you an overview, we are an international initiative. So it's a reality. If you are interested by the governance, you will have time to look at this slide. I will not comment it more. I wanted just to spend a little bit of time on our strategic plan. In 2019 in Madrid at the COP, when I said we, it means the initiative, the consortium of the member decided that we need to have a strategic plan. What is our vision of the world in 2050? What are the main objectives that we need to fulfill if we want to reach that global vision? So the vision is easy to understand. It's worldwide, healthy and carbon-rich soil to combat climate change and end hunger. Well, it's a wide objective, I agree, but that's what we hope to reach through soil health. In our strategic plan, we have guiding principle. So those guiding principle, and I can enlighten some of them. Soil health is at the center of our action. Farmers and foresters are the key actor. This is very important. This is a science-based and result-oriented approach initiative. We are multi-stakeholder, and we work with open data and open access. So the initiative is organized in 6 goals that are gathering 24 objectives. So you have the goals that we call between us the Olympic rings, and in between you have all the various 24 objectives. Each objective is characterized by a definition, by a baseline 2020, target 2030, and target 2050. And we are implementing at the moment one of the last objectives, which is how to install a dashboard that will allow us to see where we are and what is our impact. So we hope to have the first version of the dashboard at the end of the year. Well, this is a little bit complex, but it's just to explain to you that we are working for the community and that we divided the 24 objectives in 2 categories. The one that could be implemented by the Secretariat with its own budget, and the other one that need to be implemented by alliance and coalition of partners. That means all of you. So we need you to implement our strategy. This is not nice. It's nice, but it's complex to understand. You need to. So you have the main goals at the center, and at the first round you have all the 24 objectives, and the small stars just figure out the number of activities that we need to develop behind each objective. So I will not come back on that. This is the implementation cycle that we propose in order to fulfill the various objectives. So if you want to have more information on it, you will be able to get it. And I will just finish with that. This is the book we produce. main things that I said already today is in the book, mainly our vision of agroecology, explanation of all the various different of agriculture, the advantage, inconvenience of each, some example, and we will also hopefully develop a second volume with example from all over the world. And yesterday I was very pleased to hear people that could be in the next volume of the book, because they are very inspiring about what they are doing. What I wanted to say in conclusion is that we need to be aware that we need to shift paradigm in agriculture. This is very important, and we all agree on that. The thing is that before, the Green Revolution was the result of science and, I would say, a little bit of how we can recycle some sub-product from the war. That's another. That's all the agrochemical, most of them are coming from the war. And this was a top-down evolution and work. Today, what we observe is that agroecology is really born at the level of the farmers. Gabrielle was talking about peer-to-peer, importance of peer-to-peer. That's what we need to understand. Innovation at the moment in agroecology is at the level of the farmers. If we want to develop the model based on what we knew before, we need to appropriate, to get all those results through the living labs, the lighthouse, whatever you want to call them. And the scientists must help us to understand what's going on there, allow us to scale up all of those innovation for the benefits of the whole population and the whole planet. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Paul. It's so impressive to see what the 4 per 1000's been able to achieve in terms of stakeholder empowerment and engagement in such a little time. And I particularly like this agroecology graph that you have. It really helps placing the different schools of thoughts of farming in a clear manner. And if you haven't done so yet, I strongly recommend getting the 4 per 1000 book. It's such a clear explanation of the issue that's at stake and of the solution and the different practices. Really a clear, clear accounting of that. So thank you.